When Vladimir Putin ordered the mobilization of at least 300,000 men to feed the meat grinder that is his war in Ukraine, many Russian men fled to neighboring countries to avoid conscription. The pictures were all over the news of lines of cars at almost all border crossings into neighboring countries. Some that in the past were part of the Soviet Union that Putin dreams of recreating, and others that were simply the closest and very foreign country that they could get to. These men, almost to a man, said that by fleeing Russia and possible conscription, they were protesting the illegal invasion of neighboring Ukraine. They were saying that they had lost faith in Putin's leadership and feared that what he had started would be greatly detrimental to Russia and its people, and that fleeing was the only way that they could see to protest. Some left families behind as they fled, wives and children that would have to deal with the loss of their support, both financial and emotional, during these trying times. So they fled. They fled by car, by plane, on bicycles, and even on foot for the last several miles as their cars clogged all the border crossings, making walking the last several miles to sanctuary in other countries the quickest route. They fled. They ran like rabbits trying to outrun a wolf or a Russian bear. Run, rabbit, run. Protest your government's actions from the safety of foreign lands. At roughly the same time as Putin ordered his mobilization, in the neighboring country of Iran, a young lady was arrested for not wearing her hijab in a way that the morality police found acceptable. That she was traveling by car with close family members was of no concern to these thugs. They were determined to arrest her and make an example of her to all the Kurdish people of Iran. Kurdish people are seen by the ruling mullahs as a troublesome group, little better than vermin, who will not politely bend to the supreme leader's will. This young lady's name was Mahsa Amini, known as Gina to her family. She was a beautiful 22-year-old young lady with her whole life ahead of her. The Guardian police would beat her severely on her ride to the police station, causing a cerebral hemorrhage that led to her death in their custody. Her death at the government's hands on September 16th of 2022 led to protests against the government. Protests that now, 3.5 months on, are still going on with seemingly no end in sight. Iranian men and women, but by far mostly women, are protesting not just for the abolishing of the morality police, but for the end of the mullahs' 40-year rule in their country. With chants of death to the dictator, mullahs must go, and Jin Jian Azadi, or women, life, freedom, echoing through the streets of every city, on the grounds of every college campus, and even through the halls of local high school. The women and girls protest. The only time they flee is when the security forces open fire with live ammunition on protesters. And then they only flee to regroup and protest again the next day. Merchants across Iran closed up shop for 3 days in solidarity with them. The Iranian national soccer team stood mute during the playing of their national anthem at the recent World Cup tournament game against England. They did so knowing that when they returned to Tehran, they may well be arrested as soon as they stepped off their flight. But they did not flee. The Russian men who fled conscription may have testicles, but it is the women of Iran who have the real balls.